French President Emmanuel Macron blamed the UK Kent variant for the COVID surge in France during a public broadcast as the strain wreaks havoc across the neighbouring country. Emmanuel Macron claimed the Kent coronavirus variant has caused huge damage to regions across France as he announced new lockdown measures for the neighbouring country. The French president attempted to shift the blame on the UK for the spread of the dangerous Kent variant, which has now gripped large parts of the continent. The head of state said the Kent variant caused an epidemic within an epidemic as schools and non-essential shops will now close across France to tackle the surge in COVID cases. Mr. Macron said during a public broadcast to announce new lockdown restrictions, "These last few weeks, we are faced with a new situation. In fact, from the first days of the month, we are now in a race. On one hand with the deployment of vaccinations which we're hoping we will be able to get out us of the crisis, and it'll come back to that. And then secondly, propagation throughout Europe of a new variant. This variant, which was identified for the first time from our British neighbours at the end of last year, and to a certain extent, of course, gave rise to an epidemic within the epidemic, and that is greater than last spring. So, therefore, there's no metropolitan region that now has been saved from it, and it's also more dangerous than in the autumn, so it means that the virus is not only more contagious but also can kill. In fact, intensive care services are now having to deal with people who are healthy. 44% of the patients who are in intensive care today are less than 65 years old. During his broadcast, Mr. Macron revealed COVID cases have surged 55% in 2 weeks and announced new measures to tackle the rise. Schools will now close for 3 weeks from April 5, but the children of medics will still be allowed to attend. Non-essential shops will now close and a 7 p.m. curfew is now in place nationally. France had put in several localized lockdown restrictions which allowed schools and some shops to remain open in what some dubbed lockdown light. But the confusing rules, which allowed chocolatiers and flower shops to remain open, were ridiculed by the French population, who struggled to understand what they could do by law. Parisian hospitals have seen their ICU wards overflow, with some forced to airlift patients to other rural facilities to ease the burden on the healthcare system.